The Watson Weekly podcast is sponsored by Miracle. Growth isn't just about speed, it's about direction. Miracle gives you the infrastructure to scale smarter, not just faster, with a marketplace, dropship, retail media, and seller platform, powered by AI and built for what's next. It's October 27th, 2025, and this is the Watson Weekly, your essential e-commerce digest. Today on our show, Commercetools CEO is out, so what's next? Bigcommerce partners with PayPal to improve monetization. Will the new Ulta Beauty marketplace cook? Shopify and Lovable integration shows a fire and motion strategy. And finally, the Investor Minute, which contains 5 items this week from the world of venture capital, acquisitions, and IPOs. But first, in our shopping cart full of news, Commercetools CEO is out, so what's next? It's safe to say since COVID expired, Commercetools has had a run of tough news. When a longtime key, and most people would say probably the key player exits, and the replacements are generally not from the world of commerce, the result is not good. But is that cause or effect? Since the exit of Kelly Gates, you have a fired chief revenue officer, a departed CFO, and an incoming and then fired, probably, CEO Andrew Burton. But what of the move? Andrew Burton, the former CEO of Commercetools, is now out. I think it was likely a smart move by the company and likely coming for several months. As soon as you know someone is not the person, it's actually better to move fast than slow. Reports are out there that the board chairman was already quite involved in the business, and if they were not, wouldn't they be doing a CEO search? So you can kind of figure that out. Which, of course, itself is a warning sign for Mr. Burton anyway, even though it likely makes the transition a heck of a lot smoother for the company. But what about Dirk? Clearly, this has his blessing, but does he have any interest in coming back as CEO to founder mode it up? As far as the traditional strategy for the company, Commercetools can't exactly go too high because then you start running into SAP and Oracle, which is crazily still a thing. And you can't really go too low either because there aren't many deals that Shopify or Salesforce isn't also in. And it used to be that if Commercetools and Shopify were in the same deal, one of them was in the wrong deal. That hasn't exactly been true for about 3 years now. The entire re-platform market is fossilized. As someone once said, people would rather gnaw off their arm than, re-platform. So that can't be helping either. So now what? Commercetools and Fraser's Group released some recent news that offers a clue. And of course, even in this news, Andrew Burton, the former CEO, is quoted in it just last week. Whoops. Sounds like this happened fast. And the drum roll of the new mission is Agentic. I read the release carefully, and it appears to be primarily just getting Fraser's into ChatGPT instant checkout. Okay, great. But do I need a premium enterprise platform to do that? Probably not. Really, what I need is a channel enablement tool. And not to mention, you can't charge a platform premium for what will eventually be a free service. So what's next? It's really anyone's guess, but in these kinds of situations, layoffs or some additional exodus are almost always a given. When board members get a much closer look at things, no cuts are sometimes large enough. Cost cutting also has a way of helping profitability in the short term, which could also help the company find a buyer. And by the way, Agentic seems to be the new default strategy, which is kind of a fact. Just check out the homepage and the recent Fraser's news. Of course, I also have a list of questions here. The company is talking about Agentic, but Agentic what? What about headless? Who knew being a C-suite executive at a platform was so hazardous to your health? Does Bigcommerce have the most stable executive team in commerce technology now? Asking for a friend. And it's a more than fair statement to say that the company needs to get acquired. And is PayPal in the market after the recent Shopware investment? Asking for a different friend. Our second story. Bigcommerce partners with PayPal to improve monetization. Is it now Big Pay versus Shop Pay? Actually, no. Bigcommerce announced an optional new service called Bigcommerce Payments, which attempts to make things easier for its merchants to transact and do business. It's not really about checkout, mostly. What is Bigcommerce Payments? It's a new service that integrates a number of standard PayPal functions directly into Bigcommerce UI. This is not for the bigger Bigcommerce merchants, and how do I know that? The PayPal exec quoted in the release is from the small business and financial services team, so not enterprise. Also, bigger brands don't really need a payment system integrated into their commerce dashboard, except for the reason we kind of generally know, which is it's harder than hell to use PayPal's dashboard. So, from this point of view, logging into Bigcommerce should feel like a dream comparatively, relative to PayPal's maze of identity verification, challenge questions, and support requests. On the good side, Bigcommerce needs to improve its monetization relative to Shop. What SaaS companies have called attach rate percentage, meaning for every dollar of GMV, what is the attach rate of other services that contribute to revenue? Historically, Shopify has seen its revenue to GMV ratio at about 3%. And Bigcommerce, while it's never really released GMV, and of course which there are probably two reasons for this, one is lesser scale, and two is all those B2B accounts for which GMV is either slippery or irrelevant, is actually well known to have a single monetization method. Bigcommerce just is SaaS, period. A little merchant services revenue, however, never really hurt no one. And Shopify's revenue from merchant services is 74%. So there's a lot of room to run here. On the cynical side, the prominent mention of PayPal Buy Now, Pay Later in this release means that this is probably one of the biggest goals of PayPal in this deal. A huge sell job for that service into Bigcommerce, and the 5% back that they recently announced from PayPal Buy Now, Pay Later in Q4 means that Bigcommerce is going to be pocketing some coin when consumers pay for that thing later. All told, the playbook for monetizing a platform by payments is out there, and Bigcommerce has a long way to go to maximize it. In another side of commerce, Walmart followed Amazon's playbook and used it to lead itself to growth. Could Bigcommerce play the Walmart in this market? That could be the upside play. Our third story. Will the Ulta Beauty marketplace cook? There are some categories that are just harder to do with marketplaces. Beauty, toys, luxury, baby come to mind. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but the risks are higher. Anything you put in or on your body or give to your kids has a much higher standard than your normal marketplace item. However, the promise is still real. Increased assortment, over 100 new brands, fresher items, and more sales. Likely, this also focuses on range expansion from existing brands too. This is a lens I look through when I think about Ulta Beauty is doing with its new UB marketplace. Right near the top of the press release, safety is paramount. The first element of ensuring safety is gating the marketplace, which is mentioned in the release. Thoughtfully curated and marketplace don't always go together to create business impact due to scale, but we will see how this plays out over time. Sometimes these things work out, and sometimes, well, companies tend to lose focus on their curated marketplaces, and Target Plus, I'm kind of still looking at you. Vertical marketplaces are huge and have big advantages that they can promise deep assortment and benefits to buyers who are also looking for freshness. The theory of greater assortment that is easier to add than a typical item you need to allocate cash for is also seductive. Expect to see more continue to test this approach and use it as a foundation of future digital revenue streams. And our last story. Shopify and Lovable integration shows a fire and motion strategy. Early in my career, I was always a huge fan of Joel Spolsky, founder of so many tools in the internet era and a prolific blogger. He was just one of those must-reads if you were a developer back in the day, and proof that good content lives nearly forever. He wrote a blog post in 2002 called Fire and Motion, which describes how Microsoft did strategy when it was in, well, peak Microsoft mode. Essentially, do something, force the competition to react, and then keep moving. Do something else, repeat. Competition then becomes focused on chasing your tail rather than where the market and consumers are going. Meanwhile, you're learning before other people. It feels to me that this is a lot of Shopify's approach to AI. With Lovable X Shopify, people are puzzling over who the target user is and if the workflow makes any sense that only works on new stores, as if the technology can't evolve. Heck, the agents are probably already rewriting it. For Lovable, it makes sense because Lovable wants you to build anything with it, and Shopify just means commerce for a lot of people, particularly entrepreneurs. And I will forgive you if you don't know what Lovable is. It's essentially an AI code generation tool where you can type in text and it will build an app for you. Literally. Go try it out for free and check it out. For Shopify, it makes sense because of the fire and motion thing. Competition needs to look up and think, crap, I was thinking about Claude or ChatGPT, but what about Lovable, Windsurf? Do I need to pay attention to those too? What if they become the gateway for SIs, agencies, and other developers going forward? So yeah, fire and motion, it works, but learning works too. In the world we're in, we simply don't know which tools will catch on. I would be interested to know what percentage of Lovable apps included commerce as a component. But instead of just guessing, you can just try it out. Build an MCP server and tie it into Lovable. Frankly, with an MCP server, I'm not sure what they did was actually all that difficult. As several people have pointed out, it's probably easier to build a fresh new store than modify an existing one. It doesn't necessarily mean that's where it needs to end, but either way, they did it and now they'll get feedback on it. Even then, it still feels like this could be something that one developer at Shopify might have even done in a hackathon or at Lovable, either way. And you don't have to believe necessarily that this is the best move ever to understand its use, especially if your competition then has to wonder and copy it, which who do you think has more resources, Shopify or everyone else? Sometimes that's enough. And the questions. The competitors will have questions, and questions create doubt. That's not a terrible byproduct either. It's that time, friends, for our Investor Minute. We have 5 items on the menu today. First, Oway raises $4 million to build a decentralized Oway raises $4 million to build a decentralized marketplace for freight. Oway, a less than truckload long-haul freight marketplace that connects shippers and carriers, has raised a $4 million seed round. Second, Keurig Dr. Pepper announced that it will acquire JDE Peet's in an all-cash transaction with a total equity purchase price of $18.4 billion. Keurig Dr. Pepper will split its beverage and coffee units as 2 separate U.S.-listed companies at their earliest opportunity. Third, IPO raises $52 million in Series B funding to reinvent CRM for the AI era. IPO, a customer relationship management platform, announced that it's raised $52 million in a Series B funding round, which will be used to scale its engineering team and accelerate product development. Fourth, India's Wipro to buy Harman's Digital Transformation Solutions unit for $375 million. India's Wipro announced that it will acquire the Digital Transformation Solutions business unit from Harman, a Samsung company, for $375 million to accelerate its engineering research and development services. And finally, Accenture Song acquires Super Digital as marketing shifts to social first. Accenture Song, the marketing services division of consultancy Accenture, has announced the acquisition of Super Digital, a social and influencing agency, for an undisclosed amount. Did you know that RMW Commerce has another podcast? Check out the Watson Weekend for an unfiltered and lively e-commerce chat each week with me, Rick Watson, my co-host Jess Lasesky, and an array of interesting guests and topics, all focused on e-commerce. You can find the Watson Weekend by searching for it on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. That's all for this week. Till next time, Watsonians. Hi, I'm Rick Watson, CEO and founder of RMW Commerce Consulting and host of the Watson Weekly Podcast, your essential e-commerce digest. To hear new episodes of the show every Monday morning, subscribe now at rmwcommerce.com/Watson Weekly and wherever you get your podcasts.